Welcome back everybody to Game 2 of TooDming versus MVP from the Blizzcon Invitational 2011. This is a Game 2 of a best of 3 that was played at BlizzCon this past weekend. If you guys didn't see them already, I'm not going to spoil too many of the results for you here. I actually won't spoil any of the results at all. I'm not going to say who won the whole tournament or anything. I will just say you should go check out all those games. They're all out there. I think most of them are on sc2rep.com, but I'm sure you could also just Google them and they will be out there because Blizzard, of course, provided us with them because Blizzard is awesome and great. You can also check out all the cool Heart of the Swarm stuff and Diablo stuff. There's a new World of Warcraft expansion coming out. So much cool stuff happened at BlizzCon over this past weekend and you should definitely go check it out. Jumping into this game, spawning in the bottom right position as the Blue Terran, playing for Team Incredible Miracle, the winner of Game 1, we have MVP. Spawning in the bottom left position of Shakuras Plateau as the Red Zerg, we have TooDming, who is, of course, operating under the alias of PanDa Team today. Don't know why, don't know if that's a real team or not, but that is definitely the alias he is going to be operating under in this game. Now, in Game 1, we saw a pretty crazy game from both these players as we basically had a base trade situation where both players were in each other's main and just wrecking on absolutely everything. And MVP basically lost all of his workers except for 2. But somehow he managed to establish a base at the gold expansion, mine like crazy, and macro like a boss, and actually pass up the food of TooDming and win pretty decisively. Mostly, I think TooDming was just really indecisive as to whether he wanted to just push and attack. He kind of started to produce a lot of units, and then he went, I kind of want to drone for a while. So he started to go back to droning for a while and expanding and taking bases. And then he kind of started to produce more units again because he kind of felt like he had to do something, and then he didn't really do anything with it. So I feel like just kind of that indecisiveness is really what cost him the game there in Game 1. In Game 2, though, TooDming definitely going to be looking to take a bit of revenge here, try to see if he can't win this best of 3 and force this series to go to a third match. Now, we do have a fast expansion here going down for TooDming, followed by that spawning pool, and this one worker is now coming up here and almost gets caught there by all the main-arding workers there, and they are going to manage to pick off that SCV. There's a second one actually coming up here for MVP, which means that he is looking to get aggressive. Yeah, we do have Marines and another SCV coming on the way, but of course MVP doesn't want to give away too much, but by just kind of having this SCV coming up here so quick after that first one came up, it's going to be a pretty big tell that he's trying to do something. The fact that he had another SCV already prepped and ready to come into the base right as the first one gets killed is a pretty big indicator. He's continuing to rally more Marines across the map. It is a 2 racks at this point in time. No gas has gone up yet for MVP. He's continuing to produce workers and just constantly producing a lot of Marines, actually queuing up a lot of Marines out of those 2 barracks. It looks like that for now they're just going to be gathering up on that Xel'Naga watchtower, and he's going to go for a bit of a delayed 2 racks now just because, well, he can't really go for that quick 2 racks. The second base is up. The creep is now spreading, and for some reason that queen is like deaf. We didn't hear her make any noise at all when she popped out. I'm not sure why that is. But these Marines are continuing to be rallied here to the front, and it looks like they are going to be starting to get aggressive as MVP takes his command center. And oh my goodness, I think TooDming actually had this top Xel'Naga watchtower, and I think he actually knows about this. Yeah, as we can see, 10 Zerglings currently on the production tab, more at the front right now, and I don't know if MVP is going to be able to do too much damage with this. He doesn't want to reveal that he built all these Lings quite yet, and there we go. Now the Lings are moving down, trying to get a good surround on that SCV, not able to quite do it. And now MVP, I think, is just going to have to pull back. I mean, he can definitely tell at this point that TooDming was definitely aware of this, and he forced a lot of Ling production there out of TooDming. And yeah, as you can see, that is shown pretty decisively in that worker count. We can see that he was only at 17 workers to the 22 of MVP. MVP got quite a few workers ahead just because he forced so many Lings out of TooDming. But TooDming going to start to look very aggressive here very soon just because he's got these Lings out already. He really needs to utilize them and really needs to do something with them, and so he needs to put some pressure back on his opponent now that he's got these Lings that are actually out on the map. MVP still gathering up a lot of Marines, though, actually. He's still continuing to rally them out in 2s. Now another barracks is going down, as well as a factory going down in the main. 2 gas geysers were dropped here by MVP, and I think, is that base actually being spotted there by, yeah, it looks like TooDming is just barely in range to see that command center, knows that that command center is going down, and it looks like those Zerglings are going to be able to pick off that SCV. Now, there are quite a few Lings currently out on the field, but they are going to be retreating back into the base because this Marine count is actually very high here for MVP. These Marines don't have any stim at all, no combat shield or anything up yet for these Marines, and ooh, the Queen just barely getting pulled back in time. TooDming manages to get that. Holy cow, look at those Lings though. Those Lings are going to try to get a good surround, but they do not have Zergling speed quite yet. That Zergling speed is still another 20 seconds or so from finishing up, and MVP backing up into that corner is decimating this Ling count right now. The Lings are falling so fast, it looks like they are going to be able to get cleaned up there. But man, that was a lot of units lost there for TooDming. Checking out that units lost tab, we can actually see that it was actually a pretty even trade for both of those players. Both those players lost about an equal amount of resources worth of units, but now we do see a Baneling nest coming up here for TooDming, and he's going to be poking into the front, seeing that there are all these barracks here at the front, now just pulling back, going to try to do a light contain on his opponent while he gets up some more drones at his natural expansion. Baneling nest now completing. Second gas now going down here for TooDming as well. No creep spread quite yet. Needs to get up another queen, start getting that creep spread out on the map, because MVP is definitely notorious for being very, very, very good at being an aggressive player. So one good way to combat aggression is to just have a lot of map control, a lot of map awareness, so you always know where your opponent is and where he's trying to be aggressive, so that you can best know where your forces need to be. Now, we do have siege tanks now coming out here for MVP. There is a starport up as well. It is producing a medevac as well as a Viking, so it looks like he's going to be doing maybe a bit of a drop here. There's a siege tank up on the high ground. Siege tech now just finishing. He's going to be able to siege it up on this high ground. That is a beautiful siege tank placement there, and it looks like he's going to be dropping that mule for vision. In the meantime, he's going to be baiting all those Lings into that siege tank, and that siege tank already with 7 kills. That is a corporal siege tank. It is doing very good, but what do we have from TooDming here? TooDming is starting to produce a lot of Banelings, and Zerglings are all being rallied in here to the expansion of MVP, and MVP, sensing that something is up here with all those Lings outside of his base, has thrown up a bunker, but man, the Marine count is just not that high right now. All he has is 1 siege tank on the high ground, and oh no, where is it? It's actually been lifted. We have a siege tank as well as 4 Marines being lifted by this medevac. Looks like he's going to be going for a big drop in the main with that siege tank, but it is going to get spotted by TooDming. TooDming does manage to see this with this Overlord. He's going to know about this, and what is he going to do? All the Banelings are now moving in. Looks like they are going to try to focus down those barracks, and 2 barracks are going to fall, and now all the Lings and Banelings are now moving in. So much damage being dealt by just those 2 Banelings. In the meantime, this drop is now down in the main expansion for MVP. He has 1 Viking up here to pick off Overlords. These 2 siege tanks are going to be sieging on the low ground, but man, so many Lings are being rallied in right now for TooDming. Right now, so many Banelings being produced in the main base of MVP. SCVs all pulled off the line to try to defend, but this one Baneling is going to get in there and deal so much damage. Yes, these Banelings are getting in there. So much damage being dealt. 1 siege tank is somewhere. I don't even... Oh, there it is. It's down on the low ground there. Nice little save there by MVP to save that 1 siege tank. But, oh my goodness, so many Lings. Now in the base, more Lings are continuing to be rallied. Banelings being produced as well. This drop is starting to deal a lot of damage though, and it looks like that main expansion is going to manage to get picked off. Those 2 siege tanks now going to be picked up and reloaded down above the natural expansion. Going to start to take out a lot of workers down here for TooDming, but there are so many Lings in the main of MVP right now. So much damage being dealt right now. There is absolutely no production right now from MVP. Another spawning pool is being created frantically here by TooDming, but TooDming now coming back with all those Lings to try to take care of the rest of the forces of MVP. Once these forces fall, I don't know what MVP is going to be able to do. The food count is greatly favoring TooDming right now, 44 to 28, but in the previous game we did see TooDming or MVP come back from a big food disadvantage, and now those siege tanks are going to get all taken out here and leaving MVP with only 22 food supply. He is now dropping at his 3rd expansion. There are still a couple of Lings, 1 Ling and 1 Baneling in the main expansion here of MVP, but man, what is the harvester count right now? 9 harvesters to 19 every single game. MVP being dealt so much economic damage, and all those Lings are now back in the main. Gonna try to focus down some of these buildings, but there is a siege tank here. He needs to get that siege up as soon as possible. No, he doesn't get the siege up, and all the Lings are now streaming into the base of MVP. 43 food to 20. And TooDming is now mining on this one base, continuing to just rally units. This time, he has decided, you know what, it is not going to be like last time. I am not going to be indecisive about what I'm going to do. I am all in right now. I am sending everything I have. I'm going to continue to produce more links and really try to end this game right now because I know I'm at such a huge advantage. MVP sitting only at 17 food right now, continuing to create more SCVs up at this third position, and now it looks like he's trying to get a solid wall off here with this barracks and the starport. If he lands that factory, yeah, there we go. Now he's going to have a full wall off, but there are so many lings in his base right now. He can't really produce. He can't mine right now. And looks like MVP now just going to try to get up units. He's producing another Viking. I'm not sure about that. Nice little bit of drop micro there from MVP, but yeah, there we go. That's the smart play, is dropping him on the other side of the wall. Looks like he's going to finally be able to pick off all of those Marines. And wow, actually this hatchery managed to stay alive. I actually thought that hatchery went down, and there's still one Viking in the main for MVP, still trying to take down all these forces here, all these overlords of TooDming. And now, oh no, there's still actually some danger here for MVP, as that one Baneling does manage to deal some damage. But man, MVP is loading up everything he's got, and he's going to go for one more drop in the main. He's now mining at that third expansion, but not very much right now. 4 harvesters right now to the 35 of TooDming, and TooDming is in an absolutely fantastic position right now. Look at all these Lings and Banelings. I don't think this drop is going to be able to deal too much. Nice, smart move here by MVP, putting that siege tank down on the low ground. TooDming trying to come and stop that from going down, but oh, there we go. Now all the forces of TooDming coming in, and oh, the siege tank getting quite a bit of kills there, but the Queens managed to pick off the siege tank on the low ground, and now looks like TooDming is just going to continue to inject and go back to what he was doing, but now these Marines are stemming in. They're going to start to focus on that hatchery, and I think that hatchery is now finally going to fall in the main of MVP. Is now starting to get some mining going here. Mules continuing to mine at that third base. But the forces, oh whoa, we actually have a Spire here coming up for TooDming. This is actually a very, very interesting play, going for the Spire at this point. I don't know. He could be just straight up attacking his opponent. I don't know. With this wall off, he doesn't know that this third is up quite yet here for MVP, so I guess he's just trying to play it safe, sticking to 2 base right now, and actually he's still only on 1 base. There we go. Third base now coming up here for TooDming, and he's going to start to break down these destructible rocks and see if his opponent isn't here mining at this back location. He's now sending in an Overlord as well to try to see what exactly his opponent is doing to try to recover from this. As we can see, he is currently almost double the food count of MVP, 37 food to 59 food right now for TooDming. TooDming is in such a good spot, and MVP continuing to make the best of the units that he has. He really doesn't have any units, but he's using them so well right now. He's dropping all over the place, continuing to keep TooDming on his toes, not allowing him to get up too far, but the Spire is now up for TooDming. Mutalisks are now on the way. 3 Mutalisks currently on their production tab. Some workers still mining at the main, but no expansion down there. And MVP now once again dropping those units, using them to the most of their effectiveness. This medevac is so close to being dead, but he's keeping it alive so long, and he's getting so much good harassment in. This is just such good control and such smart play here from MVP, but I can't see him coming back from this, you guys. He's so far behind right now. He's catching up in food count, 44 to 60 right now in the food count. Can MVP pull another miracle comeback like he did in game 1? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him to be able to do it, but I don't know. I can't see him doing it. It would be really, really hard to do at this point. We do see that he's continuing to produce as much as he can. More Marines, more siege tanks are currently on the way. Missile turrets going down everywhere because he did see the Spire. He knows that they are coming up. These 3 Mutalisks are now coming into the main expansion here of MVP, getting a few more worker kills, but these Marines are going to be able to shoo away those 3 Mutalisks without a problem. There is one Zergling that did finally manage. No, he didn't actually scout that expansion yet. He still does not know about that 3rd expansion, but there are missile turrets now going down at that location, as well as a bunker that's going to keep him pretty strong. But it looks like TooDming finally looking to get a little bit more aggressive as he's now moving across the map with more Mutalisks. 6 Mutalisks currently on the field. Looks like they are going to be able to pick off a free siege tank, and yo, nice pickup there by MVP. Manages to save the siege tank, but maybe not for too much longer, as these Marines are now starting to get focused down by these Mutalisks, and yes, they are going to be picked up. Nice drop off there of the siege tank though by the missile turret, and oh no, one siege tank rallied down there is going to be picked off The wall at the front is falling to all these Zerglings. TooDming still not aware of this mining third base, but he's going to keep harassing this expansion. And there we go. He does finally manage to pick off that siege tank. And MVP now sitting at 34 food to the 80 food of TooDming. Definitely saving up those banelings. Wants to save them to be used on units. Any units that his opponent might have. Doesn't want to use them to break down the wall right now, because all he needs is a few lings to be able to do that. Because there's not a whole lot else going on right now for MVP. Now the main is finally back up and running as this third expansion is starting to get up and running here for TooDming, but there we go, the wall finally does break down and all the lings now coming in here for TooDming. The banelings crashing into those marines, and it looks like that missile turret is just barely going to stay up, and there's the well won, the WW from MVP. That is essentially the GG in Korea. That, man, I forget what the history of that was. The history of that, because in Korea, W is where the Korean letter, the Korean G sounding letter is. So yeah, a little bit of information there for you at the end of Game 2 that TooDming has actually taken. Unbelievable. This is currently 1-1 going into Game 3, so the winner of the next game will be knocking one of these players out of the Blizzcon Invitational, so stick around to see which one of these players is going to continue to go on and which one will be out of the tournament. Stick with me, guys. That was the most awkward ending ever.